What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Geordie and welcome back to F1 25 driver career mode for the Imola Grand Prix in season 2. And if you missed last episode at Jeddah, it was a huge controversial shock winner. Fernando Alonso spins out to cause a safety car and we capitalize to pit for fresh softs and take our second win out of 2 races this season. So a really lucky win for us once more, and probably the most lucky win we'll ever get. And again, controversial because the guy that span out to cause the safety car was our own teammate. But after an extensive investigation by the FIA, we and Aston Martin have been cleared of any wrongdoing, and we can continue looking forward to the rest of the season as we now head to Italy for the Italian Grand Prix of Season 2 at Imola. So Imola, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. It's going to be our Italian Grand Prix for the foreseeable future, unless I feel like adding Monza again at some point. Imola, of course, has been taken off the F1 calendar in real life, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we're going to see it for a while. Yeah. Really unfortunate, but we're going to make the most of Imola in F1 25, continuing with today's episode. But as for the rest of the season, it has been a very strange season, so to speak. 2 races in a row as well that the race leader dominating for the majority of the Grand Prix ends up not finishing the race after a safety car. It was Oscar Piastri in Bahrain, and it was Charles Leclerc in Jeddah, which is really unfortunate because Leclerc has only got 6 points. He didn't have the greatest race in Bahrain. Verstappen was able to pick up some of the pieces in P2, being able to best Lando Norris in the McLaren. So clearly it's McLaren and Ferrari who are the best cars on the grid. Of course, as you can see on the R&D chart, after Ferrari's upgrades going into Jeddah, it's definitely not so surprising. And of course, our R&D modifier is only powertrain upgrades can be purchased. Now, again, I don't know when I'm going to take that off. For now, I'm going to keep it on. I feel like if we started to struggle so much so that it felt as though one person was running away with the championship, then obviously I would mix things up. But so far it's been very mixed. Ourselves have been very lucky for sure, but that's clearly not down to the upgrades and the car, because we don't have the best car. We can like compete with the rest of the cars except from Ferrari and McLaren. Those 2 guys are clearly well out ahead of us, and we definitely needed all that luck in Jeddah to even get that win. So Imola might be the race where our luck runs out. We'll see. It's a very high speed circuit once more. Then we've got Monaco after that. Monaco we're actually going to be doing at the maximum difficulty because it's really easy in this game. So I want to see how Monaco will be at 110 max AI. And then after that we've got Spain, a track that we struggled on before. We've got Austria, which we were strong at before, so I'm not too worried about Austria, but it's Austria reverse. That's what makes it interesting. Then we've got Silverstone, which is a track that we struggled on. Then we've got Silverstone reverse, new track. Then Spa, which is another high speed circuit. Then Zandvoort reverse, new circuit. So we've got a bunch of new experiences ahead of us after Imola. It's going to be really interesting, so to speak. So without further ado, it's actually now time to get into this next race. We've got some upgrades coming in, as well as new weekly resources. We've got a development part that's actually failed.
We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, and the entire development package for the weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
And I think Alonso's already... Oh no, department capacity has been reached. So instead of going for a new one, I think he actually purchased an entirely different one, maybe? No, Alonso... Oh, my department capacity has been reached. So Alonso's just decided not to go for it. So we've got the intercooler at the very least. So we'll just go back to R&D now and get that part done. Alonso has now done it. I wish he'd have done that earlier, but we've only got to wait 2 days to get that upgrade, so it's really not going to be too big of a deal as the reshaped combustion chamber does arrive, and we also now managed to get rotor speed, which is really good. So we'll stop here. We'll look at how many R&D upgrades we do have. We are going to reach a point where we won't be able to get any new ones. We've got the fuel technology efficiency of that coming soon. A bunch of these will be locked as well. So I don't know when we'll be able to get those. Perhaps those are to do with the recognition system. No, it's not. So those are just unavailable until later on in the season, I assume. We'll see. We've got a 50% recognition required for the unknown upgrade, and same with that one. So we're really going to have to start working really hard. It's a good thing that we've got a 2-year contract with Aston Martin, so yeah, we've got plenty of time to get that secret upgrade done, and we get a bit of a boost having that long contract. But we've got the weekly resources now, so we should be able to get exhaust. We're not able to. In fact, actually, this upgrade does not arrive until much later on. It is a major upgrade after all, but it is not a good sign. Well, to be fair, for Monaco, it's not too bad. Monaco, you don't really need the best upgrades, so to speak. You just need to be the best at that track. But I certainly would have liked it at Spain, and Fernando definitely would have liked it as well, because it is his home race after all. But Austria will still be a good time for it. We might even be able to rush the upgrade if we're lucky enough. But we have to do some practice sessions to get enough points. Either way, it is time to head down to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix circuit, whatever, really long name. Either way, time to head to Imola and see what we've got in terms of the weather forecast, and also what we've got in terms of every other team's upgrades. Of course, like I said, we're not the best team. We haven't had the best car. We've been extremely lucky with safety car luck. It might happen once more. If it does happen once more, I am recording this before the race. If it happens again, I'm going to turn down the safety car thing. Right now, I've got it on increased because it barely happens anyway. But yeah, and this isn't a good sign right away. We've got rain in practice 2 and practice 3, so we'll be able to save some engine parts by not doing those ones, but it doesn't seem as though we're going to have rain in qualifying or the race. We'll have a look. There's a chance for it in the race, but it's such a low chance that it's really not going to matter. It's only an approximate weather accuracy thing though, so it might be a little bit more than that. It might be 30%. Either way, it doesn't seem to have much of a chance of rain in this Grand Prix, so it's going to be really interesting, that is for sure, if it does end up raining. So far though, it looks like the top 4 teams are starting to run away a little bit. Upgrades by most of the teams here: McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull and Mercedes seem to be level pegging, but Williams, Aston Martin, that's where we're closest actually to VCarb, so Williams kind of in a world of their own. We're actually closest to VCarb and Alpine. Alpine have been pretty good recently as well. If Gasly's result in Jeddah was anything to go by, where did he actually end up? P6. So, there's still a good chance for that. And of course, the other teams have been really inconsistent. McLaren and Ferrari, 2 engine failures each. Antonelli had a really bad qualifying P20 in Jeddah, but with the safety car's help, he managed to improve to P9. Verstappen, growing pains in the Ferrari, a really good result at Jeddah, but again, it was under safety car conditions. However, actually, to be fair to Max, he was pretty close to Norris. I think he would have gotten the P2 anyway. Ferrari will be looking to have a perfect weekend. I mean, this is their Grand Prix. This is their home turf. They look to be a really good car, so Ferrari are a team to look out for. McLaren, Lando Norris has managed to get some pretty good race results. Piastri got really unlucky in that first race, so they're looking really quick. If they can get consistent and not have any problems, it's going to be really interesting to see who wins outside of Ferrari, and or wins in terms of Ferrari and McLaren. In terms of us, we'll probably be competing with Mercedes, Williams, and Gasly in the Alpine. Perhaps maybe a Red Bull here and there. Red Bull not doing very well at all this season. VCarb pretty close to them in terms of the car level, but they've not managed to score points yet. So we'll see what happens as we now head into qualifying for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
Welcome along everybody to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
Well, here we are at Imola, one of the best circuits on the calendar, and it is such a shame that it's going to be removed after this in real life season, because again, like I said, one of the best circuits on the calendar, and yeah, we're just going to have to make the most of it during this year. Hopefully, like Portugal and France, it stays in the game for another couple of years, so we get it in F1 26 and 27. We'll have to see. But for now, let's focus on the here and now in qualifying, of course. So, yeah, you guys know I've always liked Imola, at least for a long time anyway. In F1 23, we used to really struggle around this track. Back on when we used to play 85 difficulty, fighting for P12, was it? Or P13? With the Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas. And speaking of Bottas, him and Checo actually got re-signed to Formula 1 as part of the new Andretti Cadillac team, or rather just Cadillac team. I'm so used to saying Andretti together. It's probably going to get the Andretti name at some point as a sponsor at the very least, I guarantee it. But we'll see. We shall see. I'm really excited to see them back in Formula 1. I'm really excited to see what kind of car Cadillac bring. I'm also really excited to see the Audi livery finally part of the grid. And I'm also intrigued to see what VCarb will bring and what's going to be happening with Alpine. You know, I know the rest of the grid is most likely going to be having the same sort of liveries, but who knows? But it's a really, really good lap for us compared to everybody that had already been out on track, and that ended up being third best of everyone as we look to start off this lap. So we're showing some really, really good pace around Imola. Again, I've gotten so much better at Imola over the past couple of years. We've come a long way since that first race in F1 23. Again, Imola, one of my favorite circuits. I love driving around on this track, and yeah, I certainly love playing around on it online as well, but we don't seem to be having the greatest lap whatsoever. I'm really pushing the battery just to get within a tenth of that original lap, so it looks as though we're not going to be improving at all, unfortunately, and I have barely any ERS to spend on this final part. So once it falls under 10%, the battery just isn't as strong anymore, and yeah, we just didn't improve. But I'll tell you what, a really good qualifying from Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Franco Colapinto up in P2 in that really bad Red Bull car. Lance Stroll P8 in the V-Carb, so really, really good qualifying for him. It's going to be really interesting. We got a Ferrari on pole around Imola.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters wearing red today, and they've all turned out for what we're expecting will be a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. One lap of Imola, anti-clockwise of course, unlike most Formula 1 circuits, will take our drivers round 3.1 miles of track. 19 turns, 9 right-handers and 10 to the left. Drivers will need to be precise at the hairpin at turn 7, given the subsequent uphill section. Without a good exit from that corner, they'll lose a lot of time on that stretch. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Franco Colapinto completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Piastri, the rookie, and Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Albon, Sainz, and Gabriel Bortoleto, Behrman, Norris, George Russell, and Tsunoda, Hadjar, Ocon, Jack Doohan, and Pierre Gasly, Hülkenberg, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli rounds off the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And alongside me, a man, well, what more can I say? But he's a legend, Anthony Davidson. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
All right, looking at the strategy here, it looks like it's going to be a 2-stop, 10 laps on the mediums each before a final stint for 12 laps on the hards. But I felt as though we could kind of modify that a little bit. I want to be quicker on my final stint, so we're actually going to go mediums, hards, mediums, put the hard tyre stint in the middle and see what we can do about that. There might be a bit of an offset and some recovery to do in the third stint, because we'll be going longer on the hards, but I feel like with the pace that we'll have, I feel as though I would rather be attacking other teams than having to defend against them, especially around Imola. The straight is way too long to really battle anybody, to be honest, unless our pace is near them. And with the DRS and the power of the ERS this year, it's just not going to happen. So I would much rather be on the offensive side than on the defensive. But here we go. For the first time this season, we've out-qualified our teammate, Fernando Alonso. Let's hope that change of scenery helps balance things out, and we can see Alonso have a much better race than he's had so far this season. As we wait for the 5 red lights to go out, we are underway as Charles Leclerc leads us away from Colapinto to Verstappen to Piastri. We've not had the greatest of starts as we're now side by side with Fernando Alonso. Lance Stroll in the V-Carb had a really good start but got boxed in, and now he's going to be on the inside, losing even more positions as Fernando Alonso managed to get past us. So not the greatest start from us. Pretty unlike us, to be honest. We usually have a really good race start against the AI, but this time that was not the case as Fernando Alonso is up into P5, and obviously we weren't going to fight him too hard because he is our teammate. Lance Stroll had a rocket ship start, couldn't get past either Aston Martin, and he is down into P9. Gabriel Bortoletto in the kick Sauber having a really good start, P8 for him. Lando Norris has had a pretty good start as well. He's up into P11. I didn't mention earlier, but you probably would have noticed if you looked at the leaderboard standings for qualifying. But Lando Norris continuing the McLaren trend of one car having a really bad qualifying and another one having a really good one. But even then, Piastri wasn't doing the greatest. He's down into P4. Franco Colapinto is actually up into P1. So a really good weekend for the Red Bulls so far. Sonoda's all the way down in P14, so Colapinto is really outperforming that car as we now look. As Leclerc looks to make the pass on Colapinto, he can't because Verstappen is going around the outside of the both of them, taking P1 as we retake P5 against Alonso, having to use most of our battery to do so. So we're going to have to be recharging throughout this second lap. But that was a really good overtake from Max Verstappen, who has now taken the lead of the race. It's been a really good qualifying and start as a whole from Ferrari, even though Colapinto did manage to take P1 to start off with. Yeah, Colapinto's pace in that Red Bull really starting to show now. It's not his fault. Red Bull just have not got a good car this season as Leclerc makes an easy pass, and at Ferrari home turf, it is a Ferrari 1-2 as we now look to catch up ourselves to Piastri, who's making the overtake on Colapinto. So Colapinto's true pace really starting to show now just how bad that Red Bull is, and looks like he's going to be the car that will be chasing as we catch up here. We've managed to gap the 2 Williams cars behind us. Fernando Alonso also got overtaken by both Williams. So I don't know what's going on with his pace. I don't know what's going on with this car. Maybe we are outperforming the Aston Martin. I'm pretty sure the Williams car is better, but I feel like they are close enough to make a difference. I don't know if there's an aging factor. I don't know Alonso's current overall in the actual game, but he is 86 in our career mode. So I don't know how the age goes on, because apparently it does affect them, that their that awareness or something goes down. So maybe Alonso's dealing with the effects of that. But we have managed to make the overtake on Colapinto, and we're up into P4. So it's been a really good race for us so far. Colapinto did manage to retake the position. We were kind of swapping positions over the few laps, but we managed to make the pass for good this time because Albon follows us through. That's a really opportunistic move from him right there. Williams showing a lot of pace. Albon right behind us. So, yeah, we have no time to rest in this Grand Prix, that is for sure. We've not been able to catch up to Piastri. We're now 2 seconds behind him. So our battle looks to be like it's going to be for P4. I don't know how tyre strategies are going to come into play. Maybe we'll be able to catch up. But Alonso, yeah, he seems to be in no man's land right now. 2 seconds behind the Williams. 1.5 seconds ahead of Norris. Russell not too far behind Norris. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. But Colapinto once more making the pass on us. So a bit of a battle going on between me and the Red Bull. We know we have a better car than Red Bull, that's for sure. Red Bull have like better aerodynamics and stuff, but in terms of the powertrain, they are one of the weakest cars on the grid, hence why Colapinto is struggling to maintain what he rightfully earned in qualifying, and that's why we've managed to find it so easy to keep up with him, even with the tyre wear. But yeah, this is our pit lap now. It's lap 10, so we're going to start seeing what tyre strategies are looking like as Colapinto is still going. Carlos Sainz follows us into the pits, so looks like we're still going to be dealing with the Williams throughout the course of this race. Coming into the pit stops now, and there is already a problem as the left rear tyre. What is going on with this pit crew? That's 2 out of 3 races now where we've had an issue in the pits, and yeah, Carlos Sainz overtakes us in the pits. I'm pretty miffed at that, to be quite honest. So we got a little bit of extra work to do, some time to make up as Alonso comes past, overtaking Sainz. I think he might have overtook us if we had a good pit stop anyway, but it would have been a lot easier to defend from Carlos Sainz. Looks like it's going to be Aston Martin versus Williams at this stage of the Grand Prix, and I would have preferred being in front of Sainz, but Sainz is about 8 tenths ahead of us, so he's going to have a really good opportunity to catch up and overtake Fernando Alonso before we can even catch up to him. And there's my engineer rubbing salt in the wound, talking about true position. Like, yeah, this is my position because of you. You know, you failed in the pits, but we're looking pretty quick. We've got a purple sector 2 and 3 as we now look to catch up to Fernando Alonso. We're still not quick enough for now, so we're going to have to hang back just a little bit. We don't have enough ERS to really power past them, and Sainz is obviously going to be much quicker being on those mediums, so we're going to have to wait a little bit, but yeah, still unable to catch up to Alonso. He's got slipstream and DRS, so it takes us up until lap 14 to finally get the cars swapped, so we can make our move towards Carlos Sainz. So there's P11 gained for us. I don't know where that's going to be in the grand scheme of things. We might be a lot higher. This might actually be true position. I have absolutely no idea. The engineer said this was true position, which is not a good sign because that implies that there are teams going for a one-stop in this race, which is quite shocking to say the least, considering the amount of tyre wear that we are dealing with. But lap 15 now, those mediums are now starting to wear out, and we're able to make the pass for P7. So some cars ahead of us did pit, but it seems cars like Verstappen on the hards definitely going until the end of the Grand Prix. He is currently in P5. Albon chasing him down. The Mercedes of what I assume to be George Russell is in P4 just ahead of him. But as we go into lap 16 with everybody else pitting, Max Verstappen once again leads 3 seconds ahead of Alex Albon and myself. So no catching Verstappen. If he is going till the end of the Grand Prix, he is absolutely winning at Imola, and of all tracks where Verstappen could win, Imola is definitely the one where I think he would. He's very good at this track, and it's going to be a big victory not only for him in his first win for Ferrari, but also because it's on Ferrari home turf and the Tifosi have a front row seat ahead of the rest of the world to see a Ferrari win around Imola. So yeah, really good for them as we now focus, of course, to overtake Alex Albon in the Williams, who's having a pretty good race. He looks as though he might be going for a one-stop, maybe the same strategy as us. Who knows? We'll see. I know his teammate Carlos Sainz on those mediums absolutely is going for a two-stop, so it'd be cool to see whether or not we end up near him when we pit. Again, I don't know what Albon is going to be doing. I really hope he's not going for the one-stop, because it seems only the front runners are capable of doing that. I don't know where Norris is going to end up, because he was far behind. So maybe we'll end up somewhere near him, regardless of how good his tyre wear will be. He would have had to pit a lot earlier to make any sort of inroads. But yeah, lap 18 now, looking to make the pass on Alex Albon. We're definitely the quicker of the two cars there, so we are up into P2, but of course Leclerc lurking in the background. Piastri will be catching up soon as well. I don't know what Russell's pace is like, neither, or Colapinto's. We'll have to see, because those guys are going for the one stop, I'm pretty sure. But we made the move. We can only focus on ourselves for now. So we had some nice breathing room after that overtake on Albon, but Leclerc is lurking. He's now up to 6/10 behind us, so it's really not going to be long now until he overtakes us. But yeah, that's not something I'm really focused on. It is good for Ferrari though, because it looks as though once Leclerc makes this pass on me, it's going to be a 1-2 for Ferrari around Imola of all places. So I think now that consistency has truly started to set in, there's no safety car shenanigans. There was a virtual safety car earlier on in the race. That's why Gasly DNF'd, but you know, it wasn't really worth showing. Virtual safety cars don't really make much of a difference at all, except to save tyres a little bit more, so I didn't really bother showing it. But yeah, look at this, Charles Leclerc right up on our chaff right here, practically pushing us through corners at that point, and it's an easy pass for him. I'm not even going to try fighting that. As you can see, he's going out well ahead of us. That's because I just started saving ERS before he even overtook us, you know. No point fighting them. We know we're going to be making another stop, whereas these guys only had to make a one stop. So Oscar Piastri flies by as well. And again, we're using this time to save ERS, and we're going to be pitting the next lap anyway. So we're now about to see where our true position absolutely is, and we're going to have to be doing a recovery drive to catch up to the guys that are going to be doing a one stop. But it's been a really good race for us so far. It looks as though like I said, consistency setting in, and Ferrari are the best car, the best team on the grid so far this season. McLaren have been too inconsistent, whereas Ferrari have been consistently close to each other in these last couple of Grand Prix. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the rest of the season goes on. But we're coming out now into P9 behind the likes of Yuki Tsunoda and Kimi Antonelli. Looks as though there's a lot of familiar faces in terms of the teams, but in terms of the season, guys like Tsunoda, Antonelli, Norris, they've been really inconsistent. Tsunoda's been nowhere this season. You might remember in Season 1, Tsunoda had a really good season, and then, yeah, this season we've not heard a peep out of him. This might actually be the first we're actually seeing of him, and it's going to be the last time we see him in this race as well, as we make a pretty easy pass on him. He is on those pretty worn, hard tyres at this point, and we're going till the end of the race on these fresh mediums, so we're going to be carving our way through the field. This time, a move for P7 on Kimi Antonelli. Lando Norris is about 6 seconds up the road. George Russell not too far ahead of him, but we've got plenty of time to not only overtake Norris, but also overtake him and Russell. I don't know what's happening ahead of those two. We'll have to see once we overtake Norris. When P4 appears, maybe we'll also see them on the mini-map in the bottom left. We'll have to see, but it's a really good pass on Kimi Antonelli, and now we look to set our sights to start catching up. Setting some really quick laps on the way there, including the end of this one after overtaking Antonelli. We get the fastest lap, so we know we've got the pace to do it. We've already caught up about 3 seconds to Lando Norris, so it only takes us up until lap 26 to actually catch up to that really worn hard set that is on the McLaren, of course. Lando Norris, again, on a huge tyre offset compared to Piastri, I imagine, because Norris started a lot lower down the field, so his strategy is very much different. Perhaps he might have done better to be on the 2 stops like us, but that is not the case. Now, we set our sights on George Russell on lap 28, and just ahead of him is Franco Colapinto, and then Piastri is nearly 17 seconds ahead. So that just goes to show just how much of an advantage the front runners have in high tyre wear conditions. So if the rest of the season goes like that, we're going to see a 4-way title battle, hopefully, between Lando Norris, Piastri, Leclerc and Verstappen. Whether or not we'll be able to put our nose into it, I don't know, as George Russell actually manages to make a pass on Colapinto, and we're going to have to be as opportunistic as possible, a really aggressive overtake of our own on Colapinto, just to try and catch up to Russell. I think what he was trying to do is get past Colapinto as quickly as possible and hope we didn't, so Russell would have a little bit more time to stay ahead, and perhaps we would have been held up by Colapinto. But that obviously didn't work. I saw straight through it, managed to turn on the aggression and get past Colapinto, continuing our chase towards the Mercedes of Russell right here. So high-flying Mercedes. Mercedes have been a lot better this season, but clearly nowhere near the McLarens and the Ferraris. Lando Norris will be kicking himself that he had such a bad qualifying, because he could have been up there. He could have secured that P4, maybe P3, maybe even higher than that. I don't know. But we've managed to secure a P4 here ahead of George Russell, Colapinto and Norris, and everybody else we overtook. Unfortunately, Fernando Alonso is all the way down in P11, so he won't be scoring points today. I don't know what's going on. I know we are close car-wise to the Williams and the Mercedes, but let's be real, we are really close to those cars. Fernando Alonso's rating alone should be pushing him ahead of those guys, but like I said, or I think I said earlier, age might be playing a factor. I think it does in these F1 games. And, you know, his overall is down to 86 right now, so maybe that's why. I don't know. We'll have to see throughout the course of the season, but the story of the day will be Max Verstappen securing his first win in Ferrari colours on Ferrari home turf, and if the Tifosi weren't happy enough about that as Verstappen crosses the line, it will be Charles Leclerc behind him, a very dominant showing in this year's Italian Grand Prix. 1-2 for Ferrari. Oscar Piastri picks up the final podium spot. McLaren will be gutted to not be anywhere near Ferrari's pace today, and Lando Norris definitely will be the most gutted, only picking up a P7. He really should be doing a lot better. But look at how high our tyre wear is. There is no way we could have gone for a 1-stop, regardless of whether or not I think I could have had the pace. I don't know. But we managed to secure a P4. I did say during the last 2 episodes that our luck was eventually going to run out and that it was going to be all about consistency throughout this season, whether or not we get the championship. So, yeah, pretty good race for us. I'm pretty happy with that P4. Let's look forward to 110% AI max difficulty around Monaco.
He takes victory.
To do it as a team on home soil, that really means something special, and you can see how much it means to them, the drivers involved as well. Great job by them today, of course, as always, but for the fans watching on too, a great display of teamwork here today.
And once all the hard work is over, and after lap of brilliant racing, it's time now to celebrate with our podium trio. And for those that have missed the Dutch national anthem, fear not, it's back again, because Max Verstappen is back on the top step.
A masterclass showing from Ferrari this weekend at Imola on their home turf. What a race for them, and that might set a precedent for the rest of the season. Who knows? It is certainly going to be quite the battle between Ferrari and McLaren. And like I said, whether or not we can butt our nose in and start fighting for the championship really will depend on our consistency. I'm really hoping we could maybe fight for the constructors as well. We just need Alonso to start picking up the slack a little bit. Unfortunately, Franco Colapinto ended up finishing down in P8. Perhaps he might have done better going for a 2-stop. Who knows? I think he might have. But a really good showing from Red Bull this weekend. That does show that, at the very least, there is some potential there. Our lead of the championship is cut down to just 18 points. Again, we had some really good results in those first two races, but now the rest of the grid is likely to start catching up now that there's no safety car shenanigans, and Ferrari overtake us and McLaren for top spot in the constructors standings. Meanwhile, we finally finished our ratings rivalry with Yuki Tsunoda that carried over from last season, so that's going to give us a big boost in our overall. That honestly really doesn't matter, it's just kind of something to work towards. Same with the accolades, but I'm glad they're in the game. Again, it is something to work towards. But guys, that is the end of this episode of F1 25 Driver Career Mode. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. Like I said earlier, next episode will be Monaco. It's a 2-stop Monaco race, as that is new to this year's season and game. And also, because of how easy Monaco is, we'll be playing it on max difficulty. So I'm really excited to get into that. It's going to be so interesting. Guys, I'll see you next time. Peace.